Hello everyone, this is Griffin, and I'm going to show you how to do the basic descriptive statistics part of the Module 3 assignment for NQI 702. The good thing about this assignment is that you don't even need to open SPSS to do all of the data analysis you need in order to answer the questions. And really what this video is going to be about is just showing you how to do some Excel tips and tricks. So in the future, when you want to do descriptive statistics, you should be able to do most of everything you need in Excel, and you don't even really need SPSS, like, period. So what I've got here is I've got the raw data set from the assignment, and I haven't altered it in any way, with the one exception of that I've already put the data to set for the second part in the second tab, which I'll get to later. So first of all, we need to do descriptive statistics on the parameters that are most interesting to our question, which in this case are going to be the length of stay in the ER, the primary assessment, triage minutes, and doctor exam time. Secondarily, we also have EKG and COVID data, which we will probably get to later, but that's not super important for this assignment. So first of all, what I want to do is I want to take the headings for each of the data sets, and I want to put this down here because it'll be easier when we do the statistics and I have to look up at the top of the screen every time. So what I'll first do is I'll just copy the actual headings for all of the data we need. And once you highlight it and drag it with your mouse, you can do that pretty quickly with Control and C. That will copy the cells. Then we'll go down to right below the data and do Control V. That just gives you our headings down here. And I can tell you that we don't need reason for visit, and we don't really need a location either. Okay. So first of all, the data sets that were most important, and rather the descriptive statistics we want, are going to be as follows. We want the mean, the median, we want standard deviation. We want also the minimum value and the maximum value. And then from these two, it's not important for this assignment. We can also calculate range, which are just a subtraction from the min and max. All right. So the thing with Excel is that a lot of times you can do formula by typing equals first. So I'm going to highlight the blank cell beneath ER minutes and mean. In Excel, the mean is called the average. So what you'll do is you'll type in equals and type average and then open parentheses. And now it's ready for you to drag in the data you need. So what I'll do is once I have the formula typed and ready, I will put my mouse at the top of this data set and then click and highlight the entire data set. So I really want D2 through D34 for this, okay? And you don't have to do the close brackets, but it doesn't hurt. So I will close brackets here and then press enter. Now I have to do it for all of these data sets that we've pulled down, but I'll show you a very handy trick later, and we'll get to that. We'll be able to do everything at the same time. All right, so for median, we're going to be doing everything for LOSER minutes and then just copying and pasting over basically. So for median in Excel, that's called equals median. We'll do the same exact thing, open parentheses, highlight our data set at the top, and then drag down. Close parentheses, and then press enter. Okay. Standard deviation, same thing, equals STDEV. You'll see a bunch of stuff from here, but I can tell you the first thing you really need is just the STDEV. So open parentheses. Same exact thing, highlight at the top, drag all the way down, close bracket, and enter. All right, minimum is a bit tricky. It can be, depending on which one you use, but we'll just do the very simplest one. So equals MIN for minimum, open bracket, parentheses rather, highlight at the top and drag down, close parentheses, and then enter. And if you need to verify that, the minimum value that it got for this data set was 0.68. And if you read through the data real quickly, you can see that 0.68 is the smallest number in this data set. All right, for maximum, as you might be able to guess, it's equals max. So equals max, open parentheses, drag down, close parentheses, enter. And then we don't necessarily need range at every time, but if you have your minimum and your maximum value, that you can just simply do equals, and we'll do the maximum value, which is in this case D41, minus the minimum value, which is D40. And you can see whenever I'm clicking on it after I have an equal sign, it's going to select the cell data that I've actually clicked on. All right, so in this case, the range of the data is just simply the maximum minus the minimum here. All right, so now that we've got it all for LOS ER minutes, we can simply copy and paste over into the entire data set and not have to do the dragging and dropping like I did it for the first time. So to do that, you put your mouse at the very bottom right corner of the cell range you want. And what this does is that it copies and pastes the formula you've used for that cell, but it will preserve the either the columns or the rows based on how you do it. So this is very, very easy. All you have to do is click, make sure your mouse is the small plus at the very bottom right corner, click, and then drag all the way over. And we're going to be stopping at doctor exam minutes. And what you do when you release your mouse, it will perfectly preserve all of your data over to the next columns in this case, except it will use your formulas for those cells instead of the ones you did earlier. So if you look at the top, for the very first one we did, it was average for D2 to D34. But if you go over to, for instance, primary assessment minutes, it will actually do H2 over H34. So this is one of the most helpful tools you can use for Excel in order to just save you a bunch of time. You'll also notice that in some cases, for instance, where it just has letters and there's no numbers here, you won't get a proper value. But like I said before, we don't need the data for location and reason for visit, because anyway, these are nominal data anyway, so it's not even useful for our case. So we're just going to delete that. So this is really all the descriptive statistics you need to do the assignment for part 1. If I wanted to do EKG and COVID test as a follow-up, what you can do is this is basically just 0 for no and 1 for yes. So to do that, what we'll use is a formula called count. If I wanted to quickly return what is a yes and what is a no. So in this case, I'll say equals count if. And what I'm going to tell Excel is count these numbers if it's this number. So open parentheses, and I want my range to be 0. Sorry, my range in this case is going to be the data. So again, click and drag all your data. And instead of closing parentheses and pressing enter, I'm going to say comma. And I want my criteria to be, if it's a 0, I want them to count the cells if it's for the zeros. So 0, close parentheses. In this case, it's not a percentage. It's actually a number. So in this case, I have 13 cells in this data set that is 0. All right. I'll do the exact same thing with the yeses. So equals count if, open parentheses. My data set range is going to be exactly the same. And then for this time, I'll say comma and I'll say 1. So it will give me all the numbers that are 1 and it count them for me. And again, it's not a percentage, but it's a number. So in this case, 20 get ones or 20 yeses and 13 nos. And if I want to label that just so I don't forget, I will go down here and just say no and then yes. All right. And now that we've done that, we can actually still do the same thing we did earlier with the data statistics. And then so we copy and paste over for COVID test here. So in this case for COVID, I have 11 no's and 22 yeses. Okay. If I wanted to calculate the percentage of that, that's very easy. I'll make sure this cell is a percentage here. And then I will simply say for no's, I want the no's to be this cell. divided by that cell. And then for the yeses, I will do equals, I'm sorry, I messed up. Let's sum this up first. So equals sum of these two numbers, which is 33. So to summarize quickly, you can say auto sum. You can also type in equals sum, open parentheses, and then exactly the same as before, you just click on the data you want. So in this case, I'm telling you to add 11 and 22 together. All right, now for a proper percentage, you want equals, and I want 13 divided by 33, which is 39%. And then I will simply do the cell paste trick. Oh, I forgot to add that that part. All right. So do one more time for COVID test. So to get the percentage equals 11 divided by 33, and then equals 22 divided by 33. And to make a cell percentage from a decimal point, you just go to the top here and click on percentage. So it has all these statistics you need to do the basic part. All right, and now if you wanted to make a chart out of this based on your QI macros, if you wanted to make a chart in minutes, you would click on QI macros. Let's click on all our data. So in this case, we'll drag all of the data from LOS ER minutes, and then we will create a run chart based on median. All right. And that's your run chart. It's going to make a separate tab for you at the bottom left corner of the screen here. And you can simply copy and paste this into Word by highlighting the entire chart and Control C. You can also right click and say copy. And then you can go into Word and do the same thing by pressing Control V. The problem with this is that the data is sorted by simply period, because that is how it was initially presented. So that's not incredibly useful for us because our run chart is based over time. So we need to do one more thing to the data in order for us to be able to use this. And we need to sort by the patient's arrival time here. So to do that, you can simply do that by highlighting your arrival data, which is the data they arrived. We'll go over to the top right of the screen where it says sort and filter, and we will say sort oldest to newest. It's going to give us an error message because it wants us to make sure that we don't just sort this one column data, but it wants us to preserve the data relationships from between like the rows and the columns. So it's just asking, do you want to make sure you sort the data all, or just sort that one column? In this case, I want to sort all of the data, so I will say sort. Okay. That won't change any of your descriptive statistics on here, but it will change your relationship. So you can see like the patient data is out of order from what it was, but that's because it's currently sorted the entire thing by the date here. All right. So now we wanted to make a proper ER run chart. We will click on these two data points. So in this case, click and select your LOS ER minutes. And if you press and hold Control, you can highlight more than one set of data. So I'll do that by holding Control the entire time and then clicking on the left of the arrival time. Now we can make our proper run chart by doing the same thing, going to QI macros and then run charts and then median. All right. So now you can see that based on this one compared to the first one we made, the data looks very similar, but it's not exactly the same, and that's because we have sorted by time. So this is the actual data chart you need in order to run the data. And otherwise, all we need to do is change our y-axis. So double-click on your y-axis. Make sure you've selected the bars here, and we're going to make the minimum value instead of -500 just simply 0. Okay. This is how you'll do the run chart for all the data set you need for your homework assignment. Okay, for this part of the video, what I'm going to show you is how to simply make a nice looking table in Excel. And if you don't need to know how to do any of this, you can simply, click off the video and hope you've had a helpful time with this, but some of us may not know how to do that. So I want to make a table by going to Insert. And in this case, I want to make a table with like however many rows and columns you need. So in this case, I think you need like a 5 by 8 table. And just highlighting the cells here will get you what you need. All right, and we're going to label this just something nice. Let's have the first row merged. And we're going to go to highlight your row, right click, and then go down to merge cells. We'll call this one emergency department stats or something. Okay. All right. And then we'll simply go to what our data in Excel is. So in this case, mean, median, standard deviation, minimum, maximum, and range. The beauty with this is that you can highlight and copy and go over to Word and simply same thing, copy and paste. We've done the hard work at this point, and all we really need to do is make sure that our data matches up with our chart. So let's label our headers the same as we did before, except we'll make it nice and good looking. So LOSER minutes, LOSER hours here. So length of stay minutes, length of stay hours. What else we had? We had door to assessment. We had door to triage in minutes. And then if we need to add more rows, because I think we need like 1 or 2 more rows. So we can go to the right here, press plus. That'll make us a nice row. We can merge our cells again. This one's called door to dock time in minutes. All right, let's make sure that it's looking good. Yeah, I think we're good there. So let's simply highlight our cells again. We'll just do minutes and hours first. Control C. You can also, the old way, highlight, right click, and say copy. That also works. Minutes and hours. So highlight your cells you need and then say Control V, or at the same time, right click and paste. So just double checking that's correct. 547 and 9.2. That looks good to me. Let's do primary assessment, triage, and doctor exam. Right, select, Control C. Assessment, triage, and dock time, Control V. All right, and if you wanted to make this look nicer, you can highlight your data and then make sure that everything is centered here. And then the last thing, I think you'll need like 2 decimal points, so you can just truncate this 0.59, for instance, 0.27, 0.59 again, 0.17 right there. All right, and that should be all you need to do for your chart. The only thing you need to do left is just simply answer your questions here. And then for part 2, part 2 is very easy. You just need to go to your clinic telephone. I've already done this part. So what they showed in class is that she highlighted your cells here and just put it down there. Same way we've done before. And then with your stats here, I think all you really need to do is your total of time. So all this median mode here, you don't even need this. I can delete this actually. All right, to create your Pareto chart, you will just simply highlight your med refills, test results, acute illness, appointment referral, and other, and make sure that corresponds with your data here. I guess I haven't shown you how I actually got these numbers here. So again, we're going to do the auto sum function by typing in equals sum. And we're going to just simply highlight all of our cells here, Monday through Friday, close parentheses, and then press enter. And once we've done that, we can do the rest of the columns just simply by doing the trick I showed you earlier. Okay, that's how I got these numbers. All right, so Pareto chart, highlight your data you need, go by macros, we'll go click on Pareto chart. And that creates your Pareto chart. And like before, you can simply copy this, Control C, go over to Word, and then Control V, and that will be your Pareto chart. That's going to be all of the information you need to do most of the homework, and then the quiz is just based on the homework. I hope you've all enjoyed this tutorial video, and if you have any more questions, I'm always available. Just go ahead and text me or DM me on GroupMe, and I'll be happy to clarify anything that I might have gone over too quickly. Otherwise, you guys take care and see you soon.